Hello everyone and welcome. Today we're back in Skyrim where I'll be playing as my character Handface on Legendary Survival difficulty. This episode is packed. I'm headed to Solitude, taking on dragons, hunting treasure, and running missions for some shady characters. I'll be taking on pirates, clashing with Draugr, and diving into Daedric quests, and maybe even uncovering a few secrets along the way. Now, fair warning, I get seriously sidetracked, so if I say I'm on my way to do one thing, you can bet I'll get pulled into about 10 other adventures before I even get there. But that's just Skyrim for you, right? Let's dive into the chaos. I've been running missions for the Thieves Guild lately, and this time they had me heading out to Poison Meadery. On the way, I made a quick stop at the Hall of the Dead to give Anders his amulet. I somehow missed it earlier, probably because I'm as blind as a Falmer in daylight. Anyway, with that sorted, I rode out on Frost, my trusty horse waiting patiently outside Whiterun. When I reached the Meadery, they asked for help with the rat problem. These weren't your typical skeevers though. They could take you out in just one or two hits. With Lydia's help and a dead skeever as backup, we managed to take out the first two skeevers. But it wasn't smooth sailing. We hit some traps and even ran into a swarm of giant spiders, feasting on the skeevers. Honestly, it was the perfect hideout for giant spiders. Well, until we showed up anyway. In the last part of the cave, we were rushed by skeevers, and I was somehow killed by sparks, leaving me slightly confused. We managed to lure them into a corridor and take them out with our usual tactic. We also managed to kill the Rat King, who used magic. Luckily, I had poison to stop his magic regeneration temporarily. I looted his belongings and read his journal, where he wrote about being pushed out by people and called a madman his whole life. One line read, 10 years of pain, 10 years of misery, 10 years of death. Sounded like a happy bloke. I poisoned the mead and watched as the plan came together.
By the eight. What's in this?
I don't know. What's wrong?
You assured me this place was clean. I'll see to it that you remain in irons for the rest of your days.
I was really tired and I needed rest, so I went to the Bannered Mare and slept. The next morning I took a stagecoach back to Riften and handed in my missions to Maven. I didn't listen much, as I was starving and had irresistible cravings for cheese. I was sick again and riddled with diseases, so I took a cure disease potion and headed to the Thieves Guild. I talked to the guild to get my next mission, but I somehow reloaded the save to the point just before that conversation, leaving me thinking I'd spoken to them. I ended up going to Solitude without actually taking the mission. In Solitude, exhausted, I tried finding a place to sleep outside the city. I saw Frost speaking with his family, and then suddenly we were attacked by a dragon. Women and children ran for their lives as guards rushed to help. The dragon hovered near the city gate, taunting us. Every time I got close, it flew away, so I used the guard tower for cover. When it landed, I waited for the guards to attack first, then joined in from behind. I was killed a few times due to some bad choices. Lydia was nowhere to be seen. As we battled the dragon, eventually we managed to wound it enough that it couldn't fly away, and with the guard's help, we brought it down. I absorbed its soul, feeling both drained and accomplished. I finally found a bed and slept. When I woke up, I was starving, so I ate breakfast, only to witness a beheading in the city square shortly after. I decided to work on leveling up my smithing. I headed to the blacksmith. I crafted a pile of leather armor and sold it right back to him. Then I raided his house for materials, determined to make the most of my resources. I crafted random items, jewelry, armor, and even hinges for some reason. After selling the jewelry, I bought a ring that would supposedly aid in some of my less legal activities. While moving from shop to shop, I stole pelts to craft even more leather armor, leaving no shop unraided. In the potion shop, I swiped ingredients, brewed potions, and sold them back to the alchemist. I also spoke to a shady lizard and encountered a man who said his master had disappeared years ago. With the Anniversary Edition's content, I crafted a useful bag and a few other items, helping my smithing level climb even higher. I bought a crossbow and bolts, ready to put them to good use. although I realized stealing better crossbows from the shop made my purchase a bit redundant. I felt confident in my gear. I also spent some time killing hawkers to level up my archery, though I learned the hard way that swimming in icy waters is lethal. Afterward, I reached the lighthouse where I completed the Shady Lizard's request to light the fire. Nearby, I noticed the ship and decided to investigate. Two pirates guarded it, but my first attempts at taking them down failed when the orc proved too strong. After clearing a hawker cave to further level up my archery, I tried again. This time I managed to kill one pirate with my bow, and Lydia and I took down the orc together. Inside the ship, I was barely holding on due to the cold. 3 more pirates charged us, but we fought our way through. I switched to a scimitar and finally defeated them, including a fierce woman and the first mate, whom I managed to paralyze. I found a red gem and took a much needed rest, leveling up before heading back to the Shady Lizard. I headed back to him. He told me to meet up with his sister for my reward. After a short trip, I could see the ship in the distance. She had raided the ship for all it was worth. When I got there and asked for my cut, she turned on me, saying I'd be cut out, and attacked. Thankfully, her gang didn't come and help her, and I managed to defeat her. On her body, I found a lead to my loot location. After fighting my way through a mercenaries, who weren't too difficult, I came across a frightened thug who dashed off into the sea rather than to face me. I eventually reached the cave where they had hidden the stash. I quickly dispatched a few lookouts and even took some time to fish. Moving forward into a smaller cave, I encountered 2 more enemies. The main group was stationed in a makeshift base, so I used stealth to try splitting them up. Unfortunately, they all came at me at once, making it tough as Lydia kept getting knocked down. I tried a hit and run tactic, but it was chaotic. At one point, I quick saved at the worst possible moment, right as I was being attacked, leading to a loop of death. Restarting from the beginning, I approached more cautiously, healing Lydia constantly and picking off weaker enemies. We finally defeated the gang, including the captain, and the bastard lizard was left alone. He proved easy to take down, and I looted some impressive items, including a journal mentioning a hidden stash underwater. I found the stash, and inside was a beacon that spoke to me, instructing me to bring it to some shrine. I'd do this next. On my way there, I spotted a dragon and hoped it wouldn't notice me. Luckily it flew off, and I continued toward a nearby cave seeking shelter, as I hadn't made a camping kit yet. Inside, the cave was breathtaking, filled with animals and a serene fishing spot. Though there were a few bodies, it was best to be cautious. We moved further into the cave and were ambushed by 2 springans. I remembered to equip my fire dagger, but even then, their self-healing abilities made the fight exhausting. Lydia and I pressed on, encountering even more challenges as we climbed. I headed to the top and saw a bunch of enemies, and you know what happened next. I lured the first springan down and killed it with a bow, then the 2 bears came down. The worst possible thing happened and Lydia fell off a ledge, and I found myself facing the 2 cave bears alone. If I didn't move, they wouldn't see me. This tactic somehow worked. I killed one bear and the other one ran off. As a reward, I found a dwarven mace and bow. While I was looting, the coward bear attacked me. Wrong move. After a leap of faith, I was back on my path. I encountered a farmer and donated some money before an ice wraith killed me. Finally, I reached the shrine and was lifted into the sky, tasked with reclaiming an artifact and destroying a necromancer. Exhausted, I realized Lydia was still waiting in the previous cave. I had tried to push her off into the water with my shout as a joke, but now I regretted leaving her behind. I was chased by a troll before finding rest at Dragon Bridge. From there, I decided to get to Solitude, to either find a new companion or take a stagecoach back to Whiterun to retrieve Lydia. Choosing the latter, I crafted some leather armor in Whiterun and reunited with her. I celebrated by joining a drinking contest at the Bannered Mare, which I apparently won, though I woke up in a trash temple in Markarth, and I had to clean up. At the inn, I gathered rumors, accepted a mission, and took a break. Another rumor about an abandoned house piqued my interest, so I decided to investigate. Outside, I met a priest, and as we ventured into the house, a voice commanded me to kill him. This voice belonged to Molag Bal, the Daedric Prince of Domination, who then instructed me to lure another priest to his altar. After gathering supplies, I set off armed and prepared. Along the way, I even bought a war dog. We encountered a dragon that descended upon us, but fortunately an Imperial Forsworn skirmish distracted it. I seized the opportunity, using special arrows to weaken the dragon and kill some Forsworn. The dragon attacked some cave bears, and the cave bears did most of the work, and I absorbed its soul once the dragon was defeated. Alright, we're picking back up where we left off. I was getting closer to my destination when I heard someone talking about a mine that had uncovered a crypt, a Draugr crypt. Naturally, I had to check it out. At the entrance, there were a few Draugr waiting. Lydia, my loyal dog, and I handled them pretty quickly. But things took a turn. There was this hole and it went straight down, and once I dropped to the bottom, Draugr started coming at me from all directions. Lydia, my dog? Well, they didn't jump down with me, so I was on my own for a while. I tried running to the end, but there were traps and levers everywhere, which only made it harder. Eventually my dog joined me and we fought our way through. Lydia finally decided to jump in too, just in time for another big room full of Draugr. The last room was guarded by a powerful Draugr who kept healing himself, along with a nasty trap. And, surprise, Lydia was nowhere to be found again. My dog and I gave it our best, but I got taken out more than once by both the trap and the Draugr. Eventually, I had an idea. I lured the Draugr outside, where it was 5 versus 1, and together we finally took him down. After looting his chest, we moved on. We headed to where the priest was supposed to be. He was captured by the Forsworn. We had the high ground, but my allies couldn't reach them. The Forsworn were amazing archers and killed me as soon as I peeked. I tried climbing a tower, opening a gate, lowering bridges, but Lydia still couldn't figure out how to get through to me. At one point, I wasted a bunch of fire arrows by accidentally shooting the wall right in front of me. Eventually, I picked a lock and one of the Forsworn made it to us, only to be taken down by the dog and me. Lydia's AI seemed completely broken, and it was beyond frustrating. I think it might be time to find a new ally, someone with better instincts. I took a quick rest, preparing for what I knew would be another big fight. Sure enough, we had a massive brawl with the rest of the Forsworn, but I managed to rescue the priest at least. On the way back, I ran into a thief who backed off when I mentioned I was part of the Thieves Guild. Finally, I returned to the abandoned house, and I had to face the brutal task of dealing with the priest. I was forced to beat him down with a rusty mace, and let's just say things got pretty intense. There was a strange moment where it even seemed like my dog was possessed, as if he was talking on behalf of the Daedric Prince.
When your enemies lie broken and bloody before you.
And that's that for this episode. Next time, we'll see where Handface's journey takes us. If you enjoyed, please like and subscribe, and stick around for more. Thanks for watching.